Today we will discuss the second part of heat and thermodynamics. In this chapter, we will discuss about the isothermal process, adiabatic process, first law of thermodynamics, second law of thermodynamics, and molar specific heats. So, consider a system as having some gas filled in it, then the variables volume, pressure, temperature changes. So if the temperature remains constant, the change will be there in a volume and pressure. A process where the temperature remains constant but change will be there in a volume and pressure, that type of process are called as isothermal processes. So consider a gas is in a vessel or a cylinder. If the gas expands, some work done by the gas against the intermolecular forces, then temperature of the gas decreases. It absorbs some temperature from the surroundings. When the temperature decreases, it absorbs some temperature from the surroundings to maintain its temperature constant. This process is called as isothermal expansion. When gas is compressed, if you are applying some force on the gas, then work done on the gas, then its temperature increases. Then the system gives some energy, heat energy to the surroundings to keep its temperature constant. This is called as isothermal compression. For example, this is a cylinder. Here the gas is fitted with a piston, right? When you press it, volume decreases, so automatically it's here pressure increases, therefore temperature increases. When temperature increases, so you are doing some force on the gas, it increases, then it releases heat amount to the surroundings. In another case, if it expands, it pushes up, so piston goes down up, then its temperature decreases, so it takes heat energy from the temperature surroundings. It takes some heat energy from the surroundings. This is called as isothermal expansion and compression. Here, to facilitate the heat exchange, the cylinder is made up of good conductor. This process, isothermal process, is conducted in a good conducting material and which compressed slowly. The heat flows from surrounding to system to surroundings to maintain constant temperature. It's a slow process. Here the isothermal process Boyle's law holds good for this isothermal process. So PV equals to constant holds good here. The change in the internal energy is zero because there is a temperature constant, or if the temperature increases, it gives to the surroundings, or temperature decreases, it takes from the surroundings. So internal energy becomes zero. This process is a slow process. In this case, the work done is given by W equals to RT. In this process, W is given, the work done In the isothermal process is given by W equals to RT log V2 by V1, where R is the universal gas constant, T is the temperature taken in a Kelvin, V1 is the initial volume and V2 is the final volume. If initially the volume is V1, then it expands, volume increases, V2, V1 and V2, temperature is T and universal gas constant is R. Then work is given by work equals to RT log V2 by V1. This is the work done in a isothermal process. So isothermal process is applicable in a verification of Boyle's law. During the verification of Boyle's law, the pressure of the enclosed air or pressure of the gas is slowly altered to keep the temperature maintained, and a gas is slowly compressed in a cylinder to maintain gas temperature constant. To maintain the gas temperature constant, during the verification of Boyle's law, the pressure of a gas is slowly altered and the gas is slowly compressed in a cylinder. These are the applications of the isothermal process. See the graph. The pressure and volume at constant temperature are called as the isotherms. These are the rectangular hyperbolas. And next process is adiabatic process. In this process all the three variables changes: volume, pressure and also temperatures. In isothermal process temperature remains constant, but in adiabatic process temperature also changes and volume and pressure of gas also changes. Here heat energy will not be exchanged from surrounding to take a cylinder, energy gas is fitted in this cylinder, this is gas is fitted, filled, this cylinder is filled by the gas. So here there is no exchange of heat energy from inside to outside or outside to inside. The system to surrounding, there is no exchange between the there is no exchange of heat energy between the gas cylinder and the system to surroundings. So this process is done in a non-conducting material. The cylinder should be non-conducting. If in adiabatic compression, if you apply some force, it compresses, gas compresses, it produces heat. When gas expands, adiabates its internal energy, it cools. When heat energy decreases. So here in adiabatic compression process, dq equals to 0. So total du plus dw becomes 0. For example, a football or a cycle tube burst, the air inside suddenly expands and becomes cool. This is a adiabatic expansion. When sound travels in air, the compressions and refractions produces are the adiabatic changes. Here, work done by the adiabatic process equals to W equals to R by gamma minus 1 into T1 minus T2, where R is a universal gas constant, gamma is the ratio of the specific heats, T1 is the initial temperature, T2 is the final temperature. This adiabatic process holds good for PV power gamma equals to constant. PV power gamma equals to constant, it holds good. And TV power gamma minus 1 equals to constant, it holds good for the TV temperature into volume power gamma minus 1 equals to constant. The relation between pressure and temperature is given by P equals to P 1 minus gamma into T power gamma equals to constant. These are the relations when in a adiabatic process. The graph shown this, it's a steeper than the isothermal. Observe the isothermal and adiabatic graphs between the pressure and volume. These adiabatic process graphs are steeper than the isothermal process. So we have an important question, that is the differentiate between isothermal and adiabatic process. So what is the isothermal process? In isothermal process, pressure and volume changes. In adiabatic process, pressure, volume, temperature changes. In isothermal, temperature remains constant. Isothermal process is a slow process. Adiabatic process is a fast process. Heat exchanges takes place in isothermal. No heat exchange in adiabatic process. Internal energy is equals to 0 in the isothermal and heat energy equals to 0 in the adiabatic process. The total heat contained in the gas changes in isothermal. The total heat contained in the gas is constant in the adiabatic process. It is isothermal process should be done in a enclosed good conducting vessel, and adiabatic process is conducted in a non-conducting vessel. This is an isothermal process, pure slowly process, and adiabatic process is a fast or quick process. The Boyle's law holds good for isothermal, and the PV power gamma equals to constant holds good for the adiabatic process. Here we have the adiabatic isothermal process, energies are changes. When the apply some force from external, then its energy changes. So what is the internal energy and what is the external work done? Internal energy is the energy contained within the system, inside the system, due to the molecular changes, and internal energy can be increased by introducing some matter, by heating the gas, or by doing some work on the system. Gas is contained here. You can heat it, then its internal energy increases. If you compress it by some force, you are doing some work on the system, then its energy increases. So now coming to the external work done. A system, gas is enclosed here with a piston, right? The piston force, we are applying some force by piston P into A, pressure into area, right? So the work is done here. Work is done equals to F into S. See this, this is the container. We are applying some force, that is moving up, so it goes up. Some force is here, P into A, pressure in by pressure equals to force by area, so P into A equals to F and S. So A into S equals to, this is the dx, displacement, so P into dV. You can write W equals to P into dV. So here W equals to P into dV, right? So here the volume changes from V2 to V1, then work is done, P into V2 minus V1. This is the work done by the system or external work. So next coming to the thermodynamic laws. These laws are the special cases of the conservation of energy applied to heat and work. State that heat is transferred into work or work is transferred into heat according to the joules. According to the joules law, the energy conservation, heat energy can be transferred into work or work can be transferred to heat, right? So according to that, the first law of thermodynamics is defined: amount of mechanical work needed to produce define some amount of heat and vice versa. So this can be, for example, the dq is a heat amount and dq is a heat amount, du is the internal energy, dw is the work done. Then whatever the given heat amount to the system is utilized to increase its internal energy, and some of the energy is used to do the work. This is the first law of thermodynamics. The first law of thermodynamics can be defined as the amount of heat supplied to a system is equal to the algebraic sum of the change in its internal energy and amount of external work done by the system. If dw is taken positive, the work done by the system, if dw is taken as positive, then work done by the system. If it is taken as negative, work done on the system. So similarly, dq is taken as positive when heat is supplied to the system, and when heat is given by the supplied by the system, then it is taken as a negative. So du equals to dq minus dw. du internal energy equals to dq minus dw, or du equals to dq minus p dv. P dv is the work done. The examples for the first law of thermodynamics: explosion of firecrackers in an insulated steel drum. And we can use this first law of thermodynamics to calculate the increased internal energy in the boiling and melting processes. It has applications in all heat, diesel and petrol engines, and it gives the information about the conservation of mechanical energy into heat. These are some of the applications of the first law. We have some limitations of first law of thermodynamics. This first law of thermodynamics does not tell about the direction of heat flow. It gives the amount of heat flow, but it does not give the direction, how much, in which direction the heat is produced. That does not specify the conditions whether the body can use its energy to produce work. And it does not tell us the efficiency with which heat can be converted into work. At what efficiency the work can be converted into heat, it cannot be explained by the first law of thermodynamics. We have the different applications in different situations. For example, isothermal change and adiabatic change for the cyclic process and the isothermal systems. For isolated system, dq equals to 0 and du equals to 0, therefore the work becomes 0. For the isolated system, there is no heat exchange, 0, and so no internal energy is there increase, so dw becomes 0. For a cyclic process, du equals to 0, internal energy is 0, so dw equals to dq. Whatever the given heat energy to the system totally utilized to increase to do the work, there is no internal energy of the system. For the adiabatic system, heat energy is not given, so dq equals to 0, therefore du equals to minus dw. So in total internal energy equals to used, which is equals to negative work. For the isothermal process, du equals to 0, therefore dq becomes dw. For adiabatic process, du equals to minus dw. For isothermal process, dq equals to dw. These are the applications of the first law of thermodynamics. Coming to the second law. It gives the information about the flow of heat. One of the fundamental laws of the nature. This second law is one of the fundamental laws of the nature, states the number of ways that are equivalent in the meaning. Here the second law of thermodynamics is given by different scientists. For example, we have taken the Clausius and Kelvin's statements are the fundamental. The Clausius statement gives that it is impossible for a heat engine to flow from a body at a lower temperature to a body at a higher temperature without the aid of external energy. It is impossible for the heat to flow from a body at lower temperature to body at higher temperature without a aid of an external agency. Or simply, heat cannot flow itself from a cold body to a hot body. Everyone is aware about the transformation of heat. Always heat moves from higher heat to lower body. It is impossible to move the heat from a lower body to higher temperature body without using any external agency or any external force. That is given by the Clausius. And according to the Kelvin given the second law of thermodynamics statement as it is impossible to obtain continuous supply of work by cooling a body to a temperature lower than its surroundings. If a body is cooled to surroundings cooler than the surrounding, then it is impossible to obtain work from the body or from the machine. This is given by the Kelvin. Here see observe higher temperature body. This is the source. The Q heat is going to the heat engine, and some work is done by the heat engine. Here Q heat and work, some of the waste goes to the sink. If these high temperature body and low temperature bodies means source and sinks becomes equal, then it is impossible to obtain the work from this heat engine. It is impossible to obtain the work by using this heat engine if these two becomes equal. That is given by the Kelvin. So from this it is clear that it is impossible to transmit heat from a body at lower temperature to a body at higher temperature. This is the second law of thermodynamics. Next, if you increase some temperature of the body, you have taken some amount of substance and you increased 1 degree of temperature of that particular body, you required some heat amount, right? So the heat amount required to raise the temperature of the unit mass through 1 degree Kelvin or 1 degree Celsius is called as a specific heat of a substance. You want to increase, here some gas is there in, right? This is one unit mass, 1 gram of gas. You want to increase it 1 degree Celsius, then you have to give some heat amount, right? Whatever the heat amount required is called as, to increase its temperature through 1 degree is called as specific heat. The specific heat is given by C equals to 1 by m dq by dt, where C is the specific heat, m is the mass of the substance, dq is the amount of heat given to the system, dt is the increase in the temperature. Here units of specific heat is gram calories per gram per degree Celsius. This in CGS method, and SI method, joule per kg per Kelvin. Joule per kg per Kelvin is a unit for the specific heat in SI system. The dimensional formula for the specific heat of a substance is L square T inverse square K inverse. This is the heat amount required to increase 1 degree Celsius temperature of a unit mass of substance is called as a specific heat of a substance. Here for the gases who have the two specific heats, one is at constant pressure, another one is at constant volume. One is at specific heat at constant pressure, it is represented by Cp, and specific heat at constant volume is represented by Cv. You can define these specific heats. Gas changes at constant pressure and sometimes constant volume. So the relation is there between three variables. So amount of heat required to raise the temperature of unit mass of gas through 1 degree Celsius or 1 Kelvin at constant pressure is called as a specific heat at constant pressure. If you put some constant, then it is at constant pressure, right? That is given by Cp, that equals to 1 by m dq dt. Cp is the specific heat at constant pressure and m is the mass of the gas. Dq is the heat amount given to the mass of the gas, and dt is the temperature change. If you did same thing when you put a volume constant, then it is known as the specific heat of a gas at constant volume. Here the amount required to increase the temperature of unit mass through 1 degree Kelvin or 1 degree Celsius at constant volume is called as a specific heat of a gas at constant volume. It is given by the Cp equals to 1 by m dq dt. So 1 by m equals to mass, dq is the heat amount given, and dt is the change in the temperature. So gas has two specific heats. One is a specific heat at constant pressure, another one is a specific heat at constant volume. This is for the gas taken as a unit mass or in grams. If you take the mole in moles, then the specific heat is said to be molar specific heat. Here molar specific heats, we have two that they are the molar specific heat at constant pressure and molar specific heat at constant volume. Molar specific heat at constant volume and constant pressure. So the amount of heat required to raise the temperature of 1 mole gas, there we taken 1 unit gas, here 1 mole gas through 1 degree temperature or 1 degree Celsius or 1 degree Kelvin at constant pressure is known as the molar specific heat at constant pressure. So molar specific heat, Cp equals to m into Cp, where m is the molecular weight, Cp is the specific heat of a gas at constant pressure. And the amount of heat required to raise the temperature of 1 mole gas to 1 degree Celsius or 1 degree Kelvin at constant pressure is called as a molar specific heat of a gas at constant volume. It is taken as Cv equals to capital M into Cv, where capital M is the molecular weight into Cv is molar normal specific heat at constant volume. So here if we are heating the substance or 1 mole gas, then it takes some amount. So the quantity required to raise the temperature of 1 degree is called as a molar heat capacity. So how much heat it takes, it is called as a heat capacity. Heat capacity is given by heat energy by temperature difference. So heat capacity can be given by dq by dt. So units for the heat capacity is per calorie per degree Celsius, or in SI system joule per Kelvin. The dimensional formula for this heat capacity is given by m L square T inverse square K inverse, right? M L square T inverse square is a heat capacity. So we have two different equations, two molar specific heats. There is a relation between the two molar specific heats. The relation between the two molar specific heat is given by the Mayer. It is Cp minus Cv equals to R. This derivation is important for the examination point of view. So this is an essay question which rises in the examination, right? So consider 1 mole of ideal gas enclosed in a cylinder by using a piston enclosing in a cylinder. This is a gas, right? The area of cross section of this piston is A, volume is V. Here we are applying some force F. F force is applied. So the pressure increases, the pressure is P. Applying some force F force. This is the volume, and here pressure increases. This is the area of piston is A. The area of piston is A. Therefore here force equals to pressure into area, right? The pressure into area is a force acting on a gas. The force is acting on the gas is P into A. So it displaces, by this force displaces certain distance. So it is taken as dx. The small change is dx. This is the dx. Therefore work done W equals to force into displacement. So what is the force here? W equals to force into displacement. Force equals to P into A. Displacement is a delta x dx. So area into dx, which gives the volume. So P into dV. This is the work done by the piston and the gas. Here first law of thermodynamics is dq equals to du plus dw. We got the value dw P dv. So now you have to find out the values of du and dq, right? So further, at constant volume, the temperature of unit mass increased dt and heat is dq. So internal energy equals to, it is total utilized to increase its internal energy at constant volume. So there is no work. Therefore you can write it as dw equals to 0 at constant volume constant, V constant. So dw equals to 0, then therefore du equals to dq plus dw. So dw becomes 0, dq equals to du. But du equals to, we know the value dq cv dt. At constant volume Cv equals to dq by dt into 1 by m. M equals to 1. We have taken m as 1 mole. Therefore, from this dq equals to Cv dt. Right? Therefore, dw equals to 0. Therefore, du equals to Cv dt. This at the constant volume. At constant pressure, if P is constant, if P is taken as constant, when the P is constant, the temperature raised to increase 1 degree Celsius some of the part is used to increase its internal energy, and some of the part is taken as increase its work done. So here dq is taken as dq equals to internal energy Cv dt plus work done is as pdv. Right? So substituting from this specific heat, dq can be written as Cp dt. Now we have du and dq and dw values. Substitute all these values. Here, what is the du value? Du equals to Cv dt. dq equals to Cp dt. And dw equals to pdv. Substitute all these values in the first law of thermodynamics. dq equals to du plus dw. Substituting all these three values in the first law of thermodynamics, we will get Cp dt equals to Cv dt plus pdv. So take this Cv dt left side, you will get Cp dt minus Cv dt equals to pdv. But we have taken this ideal gas. According to the ideal gas equation is Pv equals to RT. Differentiating this equation and pressure constant, the rise in the temperature, here this is pdv, volume changes, and R is constant, temperature changes. Therefore, instead of dt pdv, we can write rdt. Cp dt minus Cv dt equals to rdt. Right? From this equation, you can write Cp dt minus Cv dt equals to rdt. Here dt is a common. Cp minus Cv into dt equals to rdt. dt gets cancelled. Cp minus Cv equals to r. This is known as a Mayer's equation. This gives a relation between the two molar specific heats of a gas. Question rises as derive expression for the relation between the two molar specific heats. Or define the molar specific heats. If question rises derive expression for the two molar specific heats, need not to confuse. Just this is the Cp and Cv are the two molar specific. Cp and Cv are the two molar specific heats. So you have to derive relation between these two, that is Cp minus Cv equals to R. Right? So here, to get the equation or the relation, first you have to understand the work done. The steps are, first you have to extract work done by the gas or on the gas. Then you have to know the first law of thermodynamics. First law of thermodynamics. At constant pressure, what happens? And at constant volume, what happens? The first law of thermodynamics at, and the 2 molar specific heat at two conditions. At constant pressure, what happens? And constant volume, what happens? Then you will get according to the first law of thermodynamics, dUq equals to du plus dW. So you will get dq value, du value, dw value. Right? We have taken here ideal gas. So ideal gas equation is PV equals to Rp. So here P pressure constant. If the pressure remains constant, then volume changes. R is a universal gas constant. It's a constant. Temperature changes. From this, PV equals to RT. P is constant, so volume changes. R is constant, temperature changes. So PdV can be written as RdT. So substituting all these values in the first law of thermodynamics, you will get the value Cp minus Cv equals to R. This is known as a Mayer's equation. So in this class we discussed about the basic thermodynamics. So what is the adiabatic process? What is the isothermal process? Adiabatic process. What are the differences between the isothermal and adiabatic process? This is the most important question. Always write the differences between the isothermal and adiabatic process. Need not to get confused. You can write 4 or 5 points which are changing in the isothermal, which are changing in the adiabatic process, whether it's a slow process or fast process, quick process, and examples you have to give if you have idea. So here another concept is internal energy and external work done. What is internal energy? Internal energy is energy which is increased or which is gained within the system by taking some material, for example heat. If you give the heat to the system, its internal energy increases, or by doing work on the system, then also increases. And external work done, the first law of thermodynamics. The first law of thermodynamics is a law of conservation of energy, right? So here heat amount is utilized, changing into its internal energy, and some of the energy is used as a work done. And second one is the second law of thermodynamics. This is given by the Clausius and Kelvin. So ultimately the second law of thermodynamics says that it is impossible to transmit the energy from a lower temperature body to a higher temperature body without using any external agency. The refrigerator works on the principle of second law of thermodynamics. It is possible to transmit the energy from heat to low, but it is impossible to transmit the energy from low to high without any force or any electrical energy or without any aid. That gives the second law. And the specific heat. Specific heat is nothing but the heat amount required to increase the 1 degree Celsius of 1 degree Celsius temperature of a unit volume, unit substance is called as a heat. And how to increase heat amount, increase the 1 degree Celsius, the substance takes some heat energy. How much heat energy it can be taken, what is the stamina of that particular substance is called as a heat capacity. Here we have the two specific heats of for a gases. Gas expands when you give the temperature. At one is we can see the at constant pressure and constant volume. So we have the two specific heats for the gases. One is at specific heat at constant pressure, another one is at constant volume. So if you take a unit gas, right, then it is a specific heat. If you take the gas in a moles, Then the specific heats are known as molar specific heats. The molar specific heats, we have two. One is molar specific heat at constant pressure, and another one is the molar specific heat at constant volume. The relation between these two is given by the Mayer. It is known as Mayer's equation. It is Cp minus Cv equals to R. The Cp minus Cv equals to R question rises in different ways. The derived expression for the relation between the two molar specific heats, or directly he can ask, examiner can ask, prove that Cp minus Cv equals to R. I hope you got the concept regarding the adiabatic isothermal internal energy and work done by the system on the system. First law of thermodynamics, second law of the thermodynamics, specific heats, and the relation between specific heats. Right? This is the fundamental to understand the basic thermodynamics. Hope you understand. Thank you all.